Views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests on Patriots with Grit do not necessarily reflect those of Patriots with Grit LLC, its founders, and owners.
Get ready for truth bombs and guidance from conservative leaders and entrepreneurs from God-fearing, freedom-loving, truth-telling, patriotic Americans. Welcome to Patriots with Grit. Now let's jump into today's episode with your host, Darren Ross.
Many of you may not know this, but so many words in our language are absolutely not what we thought.
What?
Absolutely right, Randy. Today we're going to find out all about the deception of words as we break down the word salad. Here we go.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium MyPillow, now only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Well, welcome back to the show, Kat Espinda. We had you on here a few weeks ago. You left us and our audience spellbound, kind of somewhat hypnotized, Randy.
Yeah, and you're going to find out how hypnotized we've been.
And her knowledge, I mean, you know, the guitars and the black outfit and the black hair, it looks like she can kind of do a number on you, Randy. I mean, kind of put you in a trance of some kind. What do you think?
Did you ever play in like an 80s rock band?
I was in a Christian band years ago, and I actually performed at the Madison Square Garden in New York before. So I am a musician, and I've professionally performed for some years. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, on our show previously, Kat, you kind of ended our episode and you said, hey, I could come back on and talk about the importance and the power of words. And my mom was an English teacher, and I thought, I know everything about words and English. And the last few years have kind of been a big eye-opener for not only me and not only Randy, but I think millions of Americans, what we've been tricked and conned and deceived into believing with words. I know you have, Randy.
Yeah, and we've learned a lot. I mean, not what you're going to tell us today, but we've learned a lot about the law and what the way the words have been flipped and have underlying meanings that we don't know about.
Twisted to use against us.
Yeah. And I don't know if is it accurate to say this is kind of when you start delving into common law, this is where you find it?
A lot of the people actually in common law don't necessarily know a lot of the word magic. It's kind of a separate genre, but a lot of us are learning it, and a lot of those people are learning it and the deception behind it. So I'm excited to share with your audience today what exactly, where it comes from, how they use it, and how anybody can learn word magic just by breaking down our words and looking up definitions.
It's been a fascinating. I've found the last few years Latin. I'm like, Latin. I didn't really realize this is what it meant. And then more we've gotten into studying all the stuff with the government and Constitution and all this, and how these words. We're in a really aggressive group here locally in the Kansas City area, and have some pretty smart people here on our team. And they start introducing. Well, it's not me, Randy. They start introducing us to all these words and these phrases and everything, and I'm like, wow, we have absolutely been duped for decades. So let's get into this, Kat. Let's talk about how we've been tricked. And I know you're kind of the master or the mistress of the word salad. So let's dive into this.
There it is, the word salad.
Love it. Okay, let's get into the word salad. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, our seas, the waters, were taken over by the English and the British. They dominated the seas. And so a lot of what has happened in our language is they have applied water terms to our language. In the court systems, they use admiralty law and maritime law. Those are the laws of water. So the acronym for law is land, air, and water. And many people know that. The words, they're basically based on just that, the admiralty law. And a lot of people don't realize that our court systems are completely based in that. And so I'm going to talk a lot about that today and the different words that are used in our system and teach people how to actually look critically at the words. And once you start diving into it, you realize how duped we are. Okay. But there's a Justinian deception that is within our language. And in the court systems, they use a mixture of English and Latin. You hear that all the time, sui juris. There's all kinds of different Latin terms, but it's actually dog Latin. Anytime you mix English with Latin, it becomes dog Latin. It's not even real law.
Is that related
And-
to pig
Well,
Latin?
that's what I was going to say. Is it pig Latin?
Or is that a dumbed down version of pig Latin?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, think of that. It's an animal, right? Pig Latin. A pig is an animal. A dog is an animal. They look at us as animals. So, that's goes back to the elite and how they look at us as goyim. Goyim is cattle or chattel, which is personal property. And I learned that when I was a real estate broker, learning just about real estate. How chattel is actually personal property, rhymes with cattle. Right?
I had not heard of that word until like the last 2 years, Randy.
I know.
In our texting group, I started seeing this word appear all the time. I didn't know if it was chattel or chattel, but I knew it wasn't cattle, and I didn't know what it meant. So that's
Right.
shining some clarity on that, Kat.
Yeah, well, they look at us as personal property, as chattel, as cattle, because we are actually the stocks and bonds that they trade in as mutual investments on the stock market. So we are actually the stock and the bonds, which are slaves. Think of somebody in the stocks, the bonds in the old days where they stuck their hands in and their head in, right? The language of English, if you look at break down the word language, lan. In my studies, lan, there was a dragon named Kylon, Kylan. Gu is the Greek word for the god of war. So, and then of course, age, right? So you've got a dragon, and this dragon Kylon protected the men of old, the ancient wisdom men of old. That's how they look at themselves, like they're just these ancient, wise old men. Gu, god of war, and then age. So really, it's the monsters who are protecting the men of old in this age and waging war against the people with the language. That's what they're doing with our language, is they waged war against us, and the monster, the dragon, protects them in this system. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's just really how it is broken down. And we are all citizens in this deception. A city is a city, as you know. It's got borders, and then Zen is happy. So really, we're happy within the borders of a city. We're really just, again, slaves, because all of these borders are just boundaries that they created. We didn't create those. God didn't create all of these borders. Man did. So the alphabet actually is a bunch of symbols. Think of symbols, right? And each symbol and sound has a frequency and a vibration to it. And that is when you hear, like you see in the movies, like abracadabra, or you see these words that they've used and they've attached them to magic. That is really what they've done, is that this is magic words we are using unknowingly against ourselves. And that's why it's so important, now that we know this, we got to start looking at the language very critically, because it's being used against the people to keep us dumbed down, so that we never, ever discover who we really are and how powerful we are. God created us in his image, and God created the universe using words, using sounds. And we are also creators if we were created in his image, and we can use words and sounds to create or to destroy. We can do one or the other. And, we've been going down this path. And so I wanted to, kind of talk about all of those things, like, for instance, the word contract. And anything, actually, if you look at the word con in general, you know what a con artist is, right?
Anthony Fauci.
Right. He's a con artist, right? So they, contract. if you look up the word tract, some people might think, oh, tract is like a newsletter, a tract you give out to people, a piece of paper. But if you look like 4 or 5 definitions down, if you look it up in the dictionary, it's actually a tract of water, going back to water terms and how they have used that to keep us kind of, funneled. We're getting funneled in, through society with this lack of understanding that we have on the words. And I told you that was the one I think that got you the last time, was the acronym for the news, which is north, east, west, and south, taking your mind and your consciousness into every direction but the truth. And that's what the news is. So, we
let
say
me ask
that
you this on the tract.
Yes.
I usually see it in property when on a map or something, it'll say tract.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it apply to land also? Land is not maritime, right?
No, land is not maritime, but what they've done is they've created a fictional system using the APN number, and that is all based on legalese, not law.
What's the APN number?
APN number is the assessor's parcel number that every piece of property in this country has. It's attached to an APN number, and that APN number is created by the assessor's, office in every single county out there. So it's not really attached to the land. It's attached to the Admiralty law of water, because if you were to go to court with something to do with your land or your property, when you go into the court and you put your hand on the bar, that's really, it's the land. It's like you have like a land bar, right? That separates the land from the water. You put your hand on that water. Once you do, or that bar, once you do that, the judge looks at you as dead. You're dead. Mm-hmm. Once you go into the court, past the bar, you're now in the well of the court. The well of the court. Think of that for a second. So if you look up the term, the well of the court, that's the area where you go and somebody sits as a defendant, somebody sits as a plaintiff, right? And then you've got the judge up in the middle. It's a triangle. The judge sits up in the middle of the triangle, and and basically he is ruling based on Admiralty law and the fact that you are dead and need a lawyer or a squire, or what about a liar? Because that's what lawyers are. They lie and they tiptoe around the truth. So and again, you have to go to a lawyer if you want to represent yourself or represent you. But because you can't really represent yourself. You can only present yourself. See, they put that RE in the front to confuse people. So it's one of those things, we've got contempt, which is to tempt us with the con. There's, think of Congress, for instance. Aggress is actually to move. So Congress is moving us along, stringing us along with their con as we sit and we watch the tell lie vision, which tells lies to our vision, using channeling and programming and casting.
And programs us. Program.
I'm kind of liking this. I'm kind of liking this word salad thing, and I'm not a vegetable eater, Randy. And I don't eat salad at all, but I'm liking this. I'm liking the word salad here.
I know some of our viewers are probably going, what in the world? So when you start talking about being dead in the courts, I don't want to go too far into corporation and all that stuff.
Right.
But kind of give them a snippet of what it means to be dead in the court.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you are considered dead. So it really goes back to the birth certificate system that they've set up. But once you are born, and that goes into the whole thing about being like born, or the birthing process, right? Mm-hmm. We're birthed, and so is a ship. A ship, when it lands on the dock, doctor. Think of birth and doctor, okay? So there's a lot of analogy or a parallel between being born and a ship delivering the product. When we deliver a product, what is that? That's the baby. But it makes them money because they create the certificate, which is the birth certificate. And in the water realm, it's considered a certificate of manifest. So there's a docking process, or, that every baby goes through. A baby has to go through the doc or the doctor to be birthed.
Well, but also there's something to do with the water breakage too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so when the baby is being birthed, they're coming through the canal.
Yes.
Canal is another water term. It's the birth canal. We've got boat canals. We've got the Panama Canal. Think of that, another water term. And, it's just a matter of, once the baby is born and that birth certificate is issued, that is the corporation that is created in our name in all capital letters via the U.S. manual style book. Anybody can look up the U.S. manual style book, and it'll tell you what it means when something is in all capital letters. If it's in all capital letters, that means it's a corporation. Or a corpse, because we're dead. So it's a corpsoration that they created for the dead. Basically, we're considered alive up until 7 years old. They put us out to sea. And if the parents don't claim the baby by the time they're 7, they're considered dead in the water.
Okay, so now what do you consider claiming the baby?
Well, see, that's the thing. Parents, a baby, when you're born, you don't know anything. You don't really know much. You're getting taken into a room and they go through the healing process where they steal your soul. The sole of your foot is stamped onto the birth certificate, the live certificate of birth, actually, or certificate of live birth. And that is the moment that they steal your soul. The sole of your foot that's representative of your soul. They create a social security number and a birth certificate, and that is what they use to do business. That's how we do business, because a man and a woman cannot do business with a corporation, a flesh and blood man and woman. That is why we're able to sign contracts, because we have a birth certificate, which is considered a corpse or a corporation.
Right.
That we can do business with. And people, it's just one of those things where, we didn't know that. We just thought that this birth certificate is us, and that we are, that this name is us. But is that name really us? If Adam and Eve are the first man and woman on this planet, they didn't have birth certificates or social security numbers or any of that.
And they weren't printed in all caps either.
Nope, that certainly wasn't. And of course, the English language wasn't even around back in those days. Again, this was a language that was created by very, very evil people. I would like to call them the elite. Even though they're not elite, they're evil. I don't even know if they're human, but they are definitely evil. And they know this. They go to the bar to study for 4 years to learn civil code and procedure, using, again, all of the energy terms that we had talked about in the last show. Like a cell, for instance, is an energy term. Power of attorney, power, like the power button, mm-hmm. That is another energy term. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them.
Let me just throw another one out here. Lawyer and attorney are different. Lawyer is a maritime representative, and an attorney is a common law, right? Is that correct?
Well, actually, it's not really common law, because when you listen to the word, and this is what I have heard, it's you're turning a knee. Turning a knee, which sounds really weird, and typically in the Latin language is no, like the word agency. A is for no, gen is generation, and see, no generation sees. And so they use the fourth arm of the government, the agencies, to come against us with interest, with taxes, with fees, with fines. All of that is just part of the membership that we're in and the citizenship, right? There's a ship at the end of all of these words, friendship. I don't know. There's just so many words with the ship in it. And nobody ever questions that. Like, why is there censorship? Why is there worship?
Relationship.
How about a relationship?
Is that the Love Boat?
I think that is the Love Boat.
The Love Boat. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I thought,
they're
Kat, I never really thought up until the last 3 or 4 years when I really came to my senses and realized how conned we've been. And the COVID was the big wake up call. But you think about the courts. You go into a traffic court or a civil court or a trial, and you're in there, and they want to make you feel like you're beat down before you go in there, and then all of a sudden you're seated, and they're like, "All rise," and you're like, "Oh, like, just pay homage to this actor in a black robe." And I'm like,
Right.
Something feels off here. This just does not feel. Something's goofy, and I don't think most people have ever even. I know it was my wake up call. Randy, what about you? Have you been to court before? You've been to jury jury duty?
I've been to divorce court once.
Have you ever been to jury duty?
No.
It's just a weird
But
vibe.
we've learned.
It's just I don't know, but the judge is up there on his throne, and you're down here, the peons below, and less than thou, and you've got the bailiff there that's protecting the actor in the black robe, and it's an icky feeling. So talk a little bit about that and why people just buy into this nonsense and what they can do to be awakened to it, to what really is going on.
The reason that we don't see this is because when we turn 5 years old, we get signed up for the Rockefeller brainwashing centers they call school.
There you go.
And that is when the teachers start to teach us what they want us to learn. And they're not even really teaching us what they want to learn. 1902, the General Education Board started with John D. Rockefeller. And now today we know that as the Department of Education. But it used to be that school was held in a church with all grades, and school lasted an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, maybe 2 days a week. Well, and then people went home and they learned enough and they lived their lives. And that's that's what was going on there. But then the Rockefellers decided they wanted to take over the world. And so they went to all these little schools and they said, hey, we will provide you with a ton of money, but you have to use our curriculum. You have to use our books. And guess what? A lot of people bit because money was scarce. And that was all by design to, so that they could create these big schools all over the country to put the children in. These schools are set up like jail cells think of that. When you think about when you were in elementary school and you had to stand in line in a single file. And
No talk.
Shut up.
You can't say anything. Raise your hand to speak. Raise your hand to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Do you have to go to the bathroom? No. You can't go to the bathroom. Hold it. Would you? And if it was your mom, would your mom make you hold it? No, they wouldn't. But see, they've been conditioning us from children to follow orders, to be order followers, no matter what. So step in line, don't step out of line, walk in a single file, got to eat. Remember the lunches in these cafeterias? You remember all those movies out there where all the prisoners are together eating in a cafeteria with the same types of tables?
And they start fighting, food fight.
Well, I'm not going to, I can give some credence to that just because it's a system of not necessarily control, but just keeping order and discipline. But it's more, to me, it's more the subliminal stuff that they teach us with those, with the curriculums that are pushed through.
Yeah, and I would say I agree because we want our children, of course, to be able to listen for safety reasons, right? And we don't want them to run out into the road. But who better really to teach that than the parents? And school's only been around since they had schools, like I said, but they weren't connected in a large group with the Department of Education or the General Education Board. It was just Christian, godly women or men, teaching the children to live, to be good people. How about that?
Yeah.
Everyone puts so much emphasis on, if you don't get an A, you're grounded.
All right.
But what about being a good man or woman? It's like, you can be a doctor, lawyer, you could be way up there, but you see these people, and a lot of them have big egos, they're narcissists. And my whole thing is, I want to teach my children and grandchildren to be good, kind, loving, hardworking, productive people in society. And that's not really the goal right now in school. The goal is just to confuse our children and make them think they're a boy when they're a girl, or vice versa. They're not teaching our children. Who better to teach the children really than the parents? But see, within the system, it's almost impossible, because people have to work, right? We have to work.
Debt has created that.
The who?
Debt.
Oh, yep.
Another part of the
created
plan,
that.
though, man.
That's part of the plan.
it.
Keep everybody working, keep the kids under the control of the government.
Yep. It's all about control, or control. They're trolling us with the con about our children and everything else. And so, we have to wake up, and anyone can do it. Before I even knew this, I still own a lexicon, a Greek one. And when I would do Bible studies, I would pull out the lexicon and I would look up the words. It would tell you like what the original meaning was for that word, because they've written so many versions of the Bible now. Some of them have been very watered down. So it's good to go to the lexicon to look up the original meaning. So I had a lot, I did learn that very early in life, but I didn't know about the word magic that was going on. It has to do with energy, frequency, and vibration. If you say nothing, nothing happens. Think about that. And we create our own reality. And so, if we can create a great life, or we could create a horrible life. It depends on what frequency you're really vibrating at, and in the church, I was, becoming a Christian young, and, the Bible says, be forgiving, be loving, don't be jealous, do this, do that, all these things you're supposed to be and do, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. And once I realized that energy, frequency, and vibration was a huge part of it, because everything is that's what Nikola Tesla discovered. Then we can start looking at everything around us and going, is this good for me? Is that sound good? Is this right? It's really kind of just, taking the words of any word really, and just looking up the root word, look at all the definitions, and you're going to find the truth, because they put the truth in our faces, but they don't teach it to us outright. If we don't do our due diligence to learn the stuff, or if we're ignorant to us, or if we're ignorant about it, they look at that as our fault. So if they're doing this to us and we don't know, and we haven't even tried to look or study, then that's why the magic works. And that's why there's so many people in delusion with this illusion of the matrix. And people don't even realize it realize with our real eyes, right? Not what they're trying to show us. A lot of what they show us is Alice in Wonderland. It's inverted, it's projection. And basically that is a big part of the word magic. I mean, think of the weekend. By Friday, you're weakened. So now it's the weekend. It's the same word when you look at it. Weakened. It's like we are really weakened by the end of the week. We become weak.
Well, and I've often too wondered, Kat, why there's so many different spellings for basically the same type of word. To me, like I said, my mom taught English, and I was a big reader, and I was a big student of English and everything. But I'm like, why are so many words spelled differently? It just never made sense to me.
I know it was what they call that, a synonym, and they got synonyms and antonyms. It's like the same name, but sounds different, or it sounds the same, but it has a different meaning. So these are all just things that they've taught us to confuse us so that we wouldn't really look any farther. And it's just like the word liability. We are in a country where the governments control us using corporations or corporations. And the reason that everyone gets a corporation is to veil themselves from liability, right? So if I have a corporation, they can't sue me, the man, but they can sue the corporation. Well, a liability is the ability to lie. Because you're tiptoeing, you're walking on eggshells, you're trying so hard not to get sued in the system. And that's why liability is such a big thing. Everybody gets lawyers because of the liability. This keeps them going. This is what keeps the boat going and the ship going. And once people start to realize they're on a ship, that's when we need to figure out how to get off of the ship and get onto the land as men and women. So there's Article 1 courts out there that are the law of water. There's the Article 3 courts, and I think this is what you were thinking of, Article 3 courts, which is for the man, for the land. It's the law of the land. And the law of the land, there's only one court in the country that goes by the law of the land, and that is the Supreme Court. And this is what I want, if anyone hears anything, I want you to hear this, that if a mandate, statute, code, rule, regulation, policy, procedure, ordinance, any of that, if any of those violate the Constitution, which is our God-given rights protected by the Constitution, created by we the people, if any of those things break it, like for instance putting a mask on your face,
There you go.
right, getting a vaccine, that we don't need that. God gave us everything we need to be healthy, the herbs of this planet. He has given us everything that we need to be healthy. We don't need mRNA gene therapy to be healthy. Then they are breaking the law of the land. And if you break the law of the land, and I sent you, I don't know if you're able to put that up on the screen, the law of the land, if it is not followed or if it breaks it, it is considered null and void, cancelable, unenforceable. You can't force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. And if you hurt them, like trying to take their job away, injecting poison in them so it's making them sick, then the Constitution has been violated. And we have a lot of judges and attorneys who are fighting the battle to keep us all on the surety ship so that we never are free.
There's 3 types of gases in the body: oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitric oxide. Cardio Miracle is your advanced formula nitric oxide booster and provides you essential support for increased vitamin D3 and blood flow and oxygen, cellular health and reproduction, improved cardiovascular health, enhanced energy and clarity, and it supercharges your sexual stamina. So start reclaiming your health today and increase your energy, stamina, and focus. Go to cardiomiracle.com, enter discount code GRIT. That's cardiomiracle.com, discount code GRIT. Take advantage of this awesome product and start feeling better today. cardiomiracle.com, discount code GRIT.
To be a free people, we got to get off of the ship. And if we don't, then they can just slap us around, which they think they have the power over the people. But we, the people, are the ones with the power. It's the consent of the governed. We are the governed, and we have to consent. we have to consent to anything that they try to make us do. And nobody got informed consent when this whole last thing happened in 2020. Like you said, that's when you woke up. And people need to remember who they are, how powerful we are, that God created us in his image, and that the government is just a it's not real. It doesn't breathe, it doesn't eat, it doesn't go to the bathroom. It doesn't do any of those things. It's the people pushing the bus behind all of these corporations that are actually doing this. And we've last 4 years, thank God Trump's in now, but the last 4 years has been kind of a nightmare. We've had to be pushed into doing things that we didn't want to do. And so many, thank God, stood up for what is right. And many people out there didn't see. So I don't really, get to, at the time it was really upsetting that people wouldn't listen. But I think people now are starting to wake up. They're getting sick. I have children dying, people having heart attacks, myocarditis, all these things. And it's all because we have been duped by design in this system, in this matrix. And so I've been a voice for truth and teaching this, all of this, just like a human. I remember I was, third, fourth grade, where they started saying humankind instead of mankind. It's like, well, why are we saying humankind? And I remember the reason was because they wanted to include or be inclusive of men and women. But a human is really the hue of man, the shading of man, the coloring of man, what they have shaded us with using the television and the casting and programming. And we didn't know that because they know that we're like sponges, that we can be easily programmed. And when you look back, Operation Paperclip, the MK Ultra programs where they used those things to brainwash people, they still do that today. It's just done on a very different level using the television and Hollywood. So that basically, we are not human. I don't consider myself a human. I'm just a woman. And a woman is a man with a womb. So it's just like we have a womb. That's what we are. And we are.
Don't go there because they'll say men can get pregnant.
No. Men can. There's two sexes. There's a man and there's a woman.
Yep.
But see, Hollywood has made women look like these, in the beginning, we wore pearls, we wore skirts, we had this certain kind of hair.
Elegant.
Yeah. Yes, elegant. But basically what they were doing is like the Beaver, Leave It to Beaver. They had Ward, the dad, and they had
June,
the mom, June, the mom. And this is what a mom and dad look like. But most people didn't have moms and dads that looked like them at the time. So it made people feel inferior. That's another thing, is they use all of this stuff to make us feel bad about ourselves. And so that's why, a lot of this, so they put these stereotypes in front of us. And what's the stereotype today when you look at a commercial or you look at a advertisement or a TV show?
Well, if you really look at it...
Well, if it's not a pharmaceutical commercial, I think that's what she's asking, because 99% of them seem like are pharmaceutical commercials now.
Right, but I guess in general what I see is they have beautiful people, typically. Even if they're overweight, they've got a beautiful face. They're almost unachievable beauty through technology and stuff like that. So we all strive and have.
Or it's a blended family, or it's the same sex marriage family.
It's a message, is all it is.
It's all just a convoluted mess.
It's a convoluted mess. You're right, because they use like magazines. Think of like the swimsuit magazines. Women walk by that and go, "Oh, great."
Well, you just said the word message.
I feel like I suck looking at that.
Randy just said the word message. Break down that word, Kat. Break down the word message.
What's a mess? Age.
Yeah, we're a mess when we're aged.
Yep. It's a mess when or the message is, think of it, anything that we really teach in school, any message that we really give, it's a mess, because we've been so convoluted and blinded and brainwashed that you have all these podcasters, all these people out there giving their message, messing people up.
I think she's talking to us, Randy. I think she's giving us a hint.
Hopefully we're not messing people up.
Yeah, I think she is.
Hey, so here's where we're at. Excuse me. I want to before we have to leave, I want to talk about the election process, not in great detail, but you've got an organization that you want to promote. So let's kind of jump over to that.
Yes, I wanted to talk about Crosscheck USA. We know, based on my last show, about the bank fraud, and that's a systemic problem. People when they hear bank fraud, they think they're hearing that the people are frauding the bank, but no, it's the bank committing fraud against the people. Election fraud is tied into this. It's all tied in together in a neat little bow. These people were brilliant in how they did it, but people are starting to find out. And once like I said before, if once you see it, the magic doesn't work anymore. And we are like, I see what's going on there. But we've got fraud going on everywhere. Election fraud up the gazoo, out our ears. Too big to rig is not sustainable. President Trump, not everybody's a President Trump that can, bring in 60,000 people into a stadium. We have a lot of candidates all over the country that are real men and women who want to do the will of the people, like really do the will of the people. But they have these, what we call rhinos out there, the uniparty, because, a lot of people just say, oh, it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats. No, it is the Democrats, but it's also the Republicans. The Republicans, and not all Republicans, but there's a certain breed of Republicans. Many of them, they act like they're fighting for your rights. You see them up in Congress. You see them on TikTok videos talking about our rights and fighting for your rights. And then nothing ever freaking happens. Nothing. They just squawk, squawk, squawk all day long. In the meantime, we've got, again, real men and women, but they never win. The real men and women never win. Now, sometimes a real one gets through, but it's always tilted. You always got way more rhinos on that side, and then just little old you trying to fight, and you never win. So the reason is because all of these people work for the corporations. They are selected. Our vote doesn't count. The ones who are a part of the corporations are the ones who select who's going to be the next rhino that's in. And they have the arm of the media, the fake, fraudulent news, right, to be a mouthpiece for their lies. So Crosscheck USA is a parallel voting system. Basically, what it is, we at this point, and I'm partnered, I'm a new spokeswoman for Crosscheck USA. This is a mothership ready to launch. There was a big campaign in Washington State, an investigative report, just so people know, on Crosscheck USA in case you look it up, and it was so full of lies you could choke on it. Okay, you could literally choke on it. So I'm here to set the record straight and tell you what this is. Again, it's a parallel voting system. It can take up to 60 million signups an hour right at the second. We are asking any candidate who's out there who wants to do the will of the people to look hard at this platform, because what it does is what we do is we would register the campaign of the candidate, or if it's an initiative, we can do that as well with an initiative. They will get full digital assets to that platform, and they would get the gold seal of Crosscheck USA so that it is registered with Crosscheck USA. That means that the candidate really cares about their voter base and cares about winning, knowing that there's fraud going on. I mean, people put a lot of money, time, and energy towards these campaigns just to have a big L at the end of it. Millions of dollars sometimes get wasted. Hundreds and thousands of hours of people's time get wasted, and then they try to figure out the fraud after it's all done. Crosscheck USA doesn't do that. This is a proactive platform where the candidate just lets people know, hey, every time they go somewhere, get your phone out right now, sign up for free with Crosscheck USA, and cast your vote for me right now. So the man or woman signs up. It's super easy. It's user friendly, and you will sign up, and then you'll get in there and you'll see your candidate, and you'll check the box. Which candidate are you voting for, Donald Trump or Joe Biden? Okay, Donald Trump. So you put it on there. Now, the power behind this platform is that the candidate's going to know how many votes they got before the election. Think of how powerful it would be if the news, the fake, fraudulent news reports that you got 50,000 votes. I'm just throwing numbers out, and 8% of the vote. And that's all you got, even though you were the favorite in every county, even though you were a superb candidate, even though you knew based on everyone you talked to that they were going to vote for you. Nobody likes the other guy. Nobody likes Biden. Who likes that guy? The houseplant of the White House, right? But then next thing you know, they're winning by a huge margin. And that's again because the media controls the narrative. Crosscheck USA will be the clean glass next to the murky, nasty, disgusting, filthy cabal glass. We can't trust these people. We know this. We can't trust the election, period. It's fake. It's fraud. It's all fraud. So if the candidate who gets Crosscheck USA has 400,000 votes, and the news is reporting they only have 50,000 votes, now you've got 400,000 affidavits of real men and women where they have uploaded their voter ID, their license, their passport card, whatever. Not fake votes, real, every man and woman with an ID under penalty of perjury does an affidavit of who they voted for. And now that candidate has the proof. The win with proof. That is the tagline, is to win with proof. And that's what I call being proactive instead of trying to find all this fraud, watch the polls, watch this, let's count the ballots. You know, you could do that all day long. And they have been doing it for the last 20 years with no success. Crosscheck USA was created by Tamborine Borelli. Tamborine Borelli lives on the west side of Washington State. I've known her since 2021 when she was running for Secretary of State. She did have 8 lawsuits here in Washington fighting election fraud. She's with a company called We See You. That's the acronym. It's Washington Election Integrity Coalition United. So she realized after those 8 lawsuits where she lost due to standing, because standing is the reason judges are all giving. This is why Trump lost. This is why Carrie Lake lost, because of the issue of standing. Because you have to be able to connect that you were harmed. That's the standing. It's like, well, okay, there's all this fraud, but who was harmed? I mean, how do we know? Because we can't even do a forensic audit, right? But now the voter, think of this. Let's say you voted for Trump, or let's just say you voted for your favorite politician, right? And then you voted, and then at the end of it, they lost. But again, everyone you knew voted for this man or woman. Nobody likes this other one. There's been people on their deathbed who have won elections over people who were canvassing, doing all the work that they're supposed to do. So Tamborine came up with the idea. She said, how could I have gotten standing? What if we were able to reach out to every voter and get them to sign an affidavit under penalty of perjury, notarized by a notary, or something stating that they did this? I would have the standing I need, because if you as the voter were hurt, because if there's 50,000 that's being reported, but 400,000 is what we have, that the voters have been injured now because their vote didn't count. And that could be, again, easily proved using this platform.
So here's I'm thinking about this. So if you had a parallel, I go to the polls, actually I would go to CrossFit first.
CrossCheck. You should go to CrossFit, Randy.
I know I should.
You should be at CrossFit like 6 times a week.
CrossCheck I would have went first. But people are not going to probably do both. So how are you making sure your numbers, because I would say most people would go vote, but they would have not known about or not done the cross-check piece. So how do you quantify equal votes?
Just like anything, whatever energy towards something, it's going to grow. It's what we focus on. What we focus on grows. The candidate registered their campaign with Crosscheck USA, that seal that
which we're
seal,
considering it,
which
the,
we're
the
considering
gold
it
standard
the
of
gold
election
standard
integrity,
of election
would be on
integrity
all of their
would be on
campaign
all of their
materials.
campaign materials.
It would be, they would speak about it every time they go out.
Every time they go out,
any kind of advertisement,
any kind of
it would say,
advertisement,
get on
it would say
cross-check
get on
USA.
cross-check
So again,
USA.
any type
So again,
of
any type
anything
of
in life,
anything
you have
in
to
life,
put energy
you have to
towards
put
it
energy
in order
towards
for it
it
to grow.
in order
so
for
it
it
would
to
be
grow.
up to
So it would be up
the
to
man or woman,
the man or woman
candidate who is
to
the
make sure
candidate
their voter base
to make
is
sure their
signing
voter
up.
base
Again,
is
it's
signing
free.
up.
Again, it's
They don't
free.
even have to leave their
They
pajamas.
don't even have to leave their pajamas.
You know, they don't have to go anywhere.
You know, they don't have to go
If you can sign up
anywhere.
an
If you
Amazon
can
account,
sign up an Amazon
if you can
account,
sign up a bank
if you can
account,
sign up a bank
if you can
account,
sign up,
if you
you
can
know,
sign up
on Facebook,
you know, on Facebook,
then you can do this.
then
It's
you can do
super
this.
user friendly.
It's
I've
super
done the
user
process
friendly.
myself. I've uploaded my IDs on
my ID on there.
my ID on there.
It's a
and,
super
it's a
easy
super
process.
super
There's
easy
really
process.
there's
Picture of
really
the ID.
there's
Picture of the
nothing.
ID.
There's nothing.
I mean, everyone has a phone now.
I mean, everyone has a phone
for
now,
the most part.
For the most part. So really, it's just about you know, getting your voter base to do it. And again, it's they don't even have to leave their pajamas in order to do that. And like it says right there, truth welcomes verification. But so how come we can't verify our current voting system?
Nope.
Because we don't own it. This is a tool of the people. The current voting system and election system as we have it now is owned by the corporation. It's not owned by the people. The people have no say in the results of these selections. So
Kat,
cross-check USA.
what is the official website for CrossCheck USA?
The official website is www.crosscheckusa.com. So
Well, I don't know Tambourine Borelli, but somebody that has that kind of a name, I think I like them already. And I think I like what they're doing because that is a really cool name, Randy.
Well, my question is, too, did you guys implement this or get any usage of it during this election, or is this something that's getting rolled out for subsequent ones?
It came out in July of 2024, just before the primaries. And so it was kind of a little too late to roll this out for 2024. Tambourine did have it set up for people if they wanted to go in for Trump or Biden. Of course, your candidate won't be in there unless the candidate actually registers their campaign, right? So yeah, so basically the people will just get on there, you know, do their information, and you just kind of wait, and you can change your vote all the way up until the end, and then it closes. Once it shuts down, then you're not able to go back and change it after the election's over.
Well, I have a feeling, and I don't know, maybe I'm totally off base here, but if I were a nefarious, crooked, corrupt politician or a rhino, I wouldn't register.
Right.
And is that what you see is probably going to happen, that the people know that this is a legitimate, truth-telling, transparent portal or site to the American people, and they're going to be like, well, I don't want any part of that. I'm just not going to register.
If they were put in there by the corporation to say, okay, we're going to steal this thing and we're going to get you in there,
right?
They can't sign up in this.
No. So that's kind of an indicator, honestly. And like I said, there was an investigative report, and check this out. It was done by the Election Integrity Committee for Washington State, Bill Bruck. He was the one who did this investigative report, and he basically was calling Tambourine a huckster and that she's just trying to steal ID information. Well, that's a very weak position, because anybody can go on Truth Finder or somewhere and pull up people's ID information. I mean, that is not the heart and soul of CrossCheck USA.
Well, she's not doing it for the money, I'm assuming, because I guess it's free.
Yeah, for the voters, it's free. For the people who are doing the campaign, there is a fee for that. It's basically whatever the fee is for them to become a candidate, that it's the same fee, and it's scaled. It depends on who is signing up for it. But you have to keep in mind, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars has been spent on this platform. $50,000 has already been spent on advertisement for it. But we realized that, at the time when that all was going on, it was just a little too late. And we already had an investigative report trying to put it down. And again, it was from the Election Integrity Committee. And these people are rhinos. They're all rhinos. They don't want the people's voices heard. And I would honestly question it. Why wouldn't you use this? I mean, again, if you're spending $1 million on a campaign, and this is, a very tiny sliver of what people actually collect in these campaigns, wouldn't you want to protect your voter base and their vote?
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth. Do you want to take an L at the end and have no proof that you lost? This is where we can prove legally and lawfully that they won the election with standing. That's the key here. Trump didn't have standing. Kerry Lake didn't have standing. Lauren Culp in our area didn't have standing. Tamborine Borelli didn't have standing. Nobody has standing. That's their little trick. Well, this will knock that out of the park. They're not going to be able to use that as an excuse anymore once this gets rolling. And I'm already talking to candidates. We already have interest for the 2026. We are right now looking at 2026. So we're not thinking, it's too late again for 2024. So we've got a whole year plus to start getting candidates enrolled, them start pushing out this to their voter base now. That way, when the time comes, they're already going to know how many votes come in. Can you imagine the shock they're going to have and the smile on their face they're going to have if the news reports 50,000 and they have 400,000? You know how powerful that would be. And again, this puts this in control of the people, in the people's hands. If you want your candidate to win, then just sign up and vote for your candidate. It's free for you.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
I love it.
Great.
I absolutely love it.
Yes,
Well,
me too. I loved it. As soon as she told me about it, it's like, how do I help? What do I do? Well, how do I help? Because if we don't have a free election, a fair election, we don't have a country. And, I'm involved in the integrity election with Steve Stern, been doing that. And a lot of people have a lot of good ideas on, how to be watching the polls and watching the boxes and all these millions of ways people cheat, or just get proactive and know exactly how much is already voted for you in the beginning and then have standing. Win with proof. That's the message. Otherwise, don't do it and and then lose with no proof. You
mentioned Steve Stern. If people don't know who Steve Stern is, this guy, Randy, he is he has to be mid-80s? I don't want to age him, but I think he's probably in his
82
he's
or
probably
83.
He's probably in his late 70s, early 80s. 84. Okay.
84.
So here's a guy that works probably 12 to 14 hours a day, runs an apparel company that's just rocking and rolling, but is the biggest champion for America ever. So when he's not running this major, massive apparel company, he's out there exposing election corruption, promoting election integrity. He has this stream a lot of his calls.
We streamed his call yesterday.
And the guy is just an absolute warrior. So I would highly recommend, if people are not familiar with Steve Stern, over at Stern American.
Stern American.
Stern American, I believe, sternamerican.com. I would highly recommend you get acclimated to who he is and what his team's about, because they're doing some amazing, amazing things. Kat, give us one closing piece of actionable parting advice here. I'm stumbling my words, Randy,
because
because
you were thinking about participles.
I'm so congested.
We're talking about words.
I've got my nasal thing going on, and I'm just not thinking clearly. But Kat, give us a good piece of actionable parting advice here with this word salad, so we can kind of pull it all together today.
Okay. Well, we are being deceived in a very deep, evil way. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against the powers, the principalities, the darkness of this age. And we have to have knowledge. We have to open our minds to what the truth is. And we've been spoon-fed lies since we were born, basically, and since we got put into the indoctrination camps called school. So it's very important that we do everything we can to learn what the truth is, learn what real law is. Take any word, start breaking words down, and you're going to start seeing what they did to us. And it's terrible, honestly, because we're just going down this road. They want to make it universal, like universe. Think that's one verse. They want us all speaking one language in one world government. We have to do everything we can as men and women to resist and to not comply with these mandates that go against our God-given, natural-born rights. According to the law of the land, if it doesn't meet up to the Constitution, it is null and void, cancelable, and unenforceable. So never forget that. Don't forget how powerful you are, and use your voice. And as we do that, and as we unite, unity is key. It's us against them. That's it. And so we have to, it doesn't matter if you believe the world is flat, believe the world is round, who cares? What we care about is saving our children, really, from this darkness, and with everything going on in the background, and our children being not only indoctrinated but enslaved. If we don't stand up now against this tyranny, then we have failed ourselves and our grandchildren. And that on my watch, no, not happening. I will do this till the day I die, and until there's breath in my lungs, I will speak the truth. And I ask you to do the same, and the truth shall set us free.
Amen, sister. That's awesome.
You go, girl.
Kat, you have your own show. Tell us about that real quick.
I have the Kat Espinda show. It's on Rumble. I do live shows and pre-recorded shows, and it's all about the truth, hidden knowledge, teaching real law, and also giving men and women a voice to give their message. Most importantly, to expose the corruption and the evil that is on our planet. And so you can see me there at Kat Espinda. I'm on Truth Social, Facebook, LinkedIn, and what else am I on? Telegram. One New Earth it's under that. So any of those places, you can go to katespinda.com, and it'll take you to my website, or onenewearth.org. Either of those will get you to the same place. And the tons of truth bombs, videos, and a video list of all of my personal fighting inside the courts. There's a tab that shows you every time I've been in court, who I've been dealing with, and how corrupt these people are. And I'm not afraid of them. We're not to fear. God, 365 times in the Bible, God says in one way or another, do not fear, because he's with us. God is with us. And when you got God with you, who can be against you, right? Because no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And so I walk with fear-free, and you keep our energy and our vibration high, and that also protects us from evil. So basically, I would say that's it. And I would love to have you join me on a live show. I get into the chat, I talk to my people, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, we just want to say thank you for coming on here and sharing. I know you have a lot more topics and subjects and area of expertise up your sleeve that we've discussed both on and offline. And I just want to commend you for being a warrior. And I always say the majority of the women in this battle are, the majority of the people in this battle are women. So
I thought you were going to say the majority of the women in this battle were people.
Well, that too. They're women. Let women be women. But you're fighting a great battle. The things that you have stood up for, a lot of people would cave under the pressure. But I just want to say thanks for standing strong when most people wouldn't. So we appreciate everything you're doing. Thanks for coming on here and joining us and sharing truth bombs with our guests. And we hope to have you back on here in the near future, my friend.
Thank you. I'd love to be back. So thank you so much. And thank you for your voices, because you are making a difference as well. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Take care, Kat.
See ya.
Thanks for watching another exciting episode of Patriots with Grit. We want to keep you informed, so if you would, just go over to patriotswithgrit.com and give us your first name and your email so we can keep you up to date. Also, be sure to subscribe, like, and share so we can keep bringing you truth. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.